All right, let's get right into it. There's a brand new movement in software that has everybody talking. It's called vibe coding, and the promise is huge, letting anyone, and I mean anyone, build an app just by describing what they want. So, is this the ultimate cheat code for creation? Or is it a total disaster just waiting to happen? This prediction from a former co-founder of OpenAI, it sounded pretty out there back in 2023. But here we are, and it's quickly becoming our reality. And it really makes you wonder, what happens when writing code is no longer the barrier, and your own language is all you need to build, well, anything? So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get into what vibe coding even means. Then we'll look at all the incredible hype before, diving into the very real dangers. We'll put it into a bigger historical context, and then tackle the big one. What does this all mean for the future? Okay, so how did we get from that wild prediction to a term that's suddenly everywhere? I mean, the idea of talking to a computer to make it do stuff isn't brand new, but it took a catchy, kind of fun name to really catch fire. So at its core, vibe coding is all about using these super powerful AI models, the large language models, or LLMs, the same tech that's behind stuff like ChatGPT, to spit out code for you. So instead of memorizing all this complicated syntax, you just describe what you want in plain English. Hey, build me an app that does this, make the buttons blue, and the AI just does it. The technology itself had been around for a bit. I mean, tools like GitHub Copilot were already in the game. But branding is everything. That single tweet gave this whole practice and name that just clicked. It took away all the intimidation and made it sound more like, a creative jam session than a technical chore. All of a sudden, programming had its cheat code. And that idea of a cheat code, it is incredibly powerful. And it's not just beginners who are excited about this. Even super experienced pros are getting into it. Let's dig into why this is so appealing. It's really night and day when you look at the comparison. The old way, it meant steep learning curves, memorizing endless rules, and getting lost in debugging rabbit holes. Vibe coding just flips that whole script. Suddenly, the biggest barrier isn't your technical skill, it's just how well can you explain your idea? I absolutely love this analogy because it just captures the feeling perfectly. You're not starting from scratch. The AI handles all the boring, repetitive parts, letting you jump straight to the fun stuff, bringing your vision to life. It feels almost like magic. And what's really fascinating here is that this appeals to literally everyone, but for completely different reasons. For someone who can't code, it's freedom. For an expert, it's a massive productivity boost. And for everybody in between, it's just a ridiculously fast way to try out new ideas. Okay, but you knew there was a but coming, right? As amazing as this all sounds, trying to build a real, secure product based on vibes alone can get you into a world of hurt, fast. So let me tell you a story. This is Leonel Acevedo. In March 2025, he proudly announced that he built an entire software business using only AI-generated code, not a single line written by hand. It was the ultimate vibe coding success story. For about 5 minutes. Almost immediately, attacker found exposed API keys. Think of those like the secret digital keys that let different apps talk to each other, just sitting there, baked right into the AI's code. The app was toast. And the worst part, since Acevedo didn't write the code himself, trying to fix the mess was a total nightmare. The very thing that made it so easy to build made it impossible to fix. And this wasn't a one-off thing, not by a long shot. Another company called Lovable, which was built entirely around this vibe-first idea, was found to be leaking its sensitive database passwords out in the open. What they sold as innovation was actually a huge security liability. The data tells the same story. A report from 2025 found that while about 2/3 of organizations are using AI to help them code, nearly half of them are using it in really risky ways. They're not checking for the exact kind of security holes we just talked about. The speed is tempting, but it's creating vulnerabilities at a massive scale. So when you boil it all down, the problems become really clear. The AI's code can be totally inconsistent. It can introduce tiny bugs or massive security flaws. It misunderstands you. And a lot of the time, the code it creates is a real pain to maintain or scale up. Sometimes just fighting with the prompts takes longer than it would to just write the code yourself. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and get some perspective. Because as wild and disruptive as vibe coding feels right now, this whole pattern, a new tool comes along and completely changes an industry, is actually a story we've seen before. How we build software is always evolving. We went from rigid, step-by-step methods to more flexible ones like Agile to the super integrated world of DevOps.
Every one of those shifts changed what it meant to be a developer. AI and vibe coding, well, it's just the next chapter in that same book.
And this isn't unique to coding. Think about it. No-code tools like Webflow didn't kill web design. They just opened the doors for more people to build websites. Calculators didn't kill math class. They just let us focus on more complex problems. Vibe coding looks like it's doing the exact same thing for programming.
But the pace of this change is just breathtaking. The CEO of Anthropic, he predicted that nearly all code could be AI generated in the very near future. Now, whether that's an exaggeration or not, it tells you just how massive this transformation really is.
And that brings us to the future. And as you've probably guessed by now, it is, well, it's complicated. Vibe coding isn't just good or just bad. It's a classic double-edged sword.
This is the core tension we have to figure out. On one hand, we are giving the power to create software to millions of new people, which is absolutely incredible. But on the other hand, we're giving them a tool that can fail in really complex, really dangerous ways if it isn't handled with care and real expertise. So what does this all mean for developers? Are they out of a job? No way. But their job is definitely evolving. The focus is shifting away from just typing out lines of code and more towards being a skilled guide for the AI, an expert reviewer, and an architect who makes the big, important decisions. In a world full of AI-generated code, that human oversight becomes more critical than ever. Which leaves us right back where we started, with that big, provocative question. As we humans and our AI partners find this whole new way of creating together, is English truly the last programming language we'll ever need to learn?